We have age restrictions on smoking, gambling, drinking, but we have no age restriction on social media and cell phones. An entire generation has access to an addictive numbing chemical called dopamine through social media and cell phones as they are going through the high stress of adolescence. Are millennials unhealthily addicted to social media? Yes, I think so. Addiction may seem to be a bit of a strong word to use in the context of social media, but addiction refers to any behavior that is pleasurable and is the only reason to get through the day. Everything else pales into insignificance. Millennials may not get liver damage or lung cancer from social media, but it can be damaging nonetheless. The harm lies in their change in behavior. Their addiction means spending increasingly amount of time online to produce the same pleasurable effect, and it means social media is the main activity they engage in above all others. It also means taking away attention from other tasks, experiencing unpleasant feelings from reducing or stopping interaction with social media, and restarting the activity very soon after stopping completely. Engagement with social media and cell phone releases a chemical called dopamine. That's why when we get a text, it feels so good. So when we feel down or depressed and send text to a few people and get a response, it feels good. That's why when we keep an eye on the responses we get on our posts, we regularly check our accounts. If it is going slow, we think we might have done something wrong and these people don't like me anymore. In a study in 2012, Harvard research scientists reported that talking about oneself through social media activates a pleasure sensation in the brain, usually associated with food, money, and sex. Dopamine is the same chemical which is released when we are having fun. In other words, it is highly addictive. The word addiction brings to mind alcohol and drugs. Yet over the past 20 years, a new addiction has emerged: addiction to social media. It may not cause physical harms, such as those caused by tobacco and alcohol, but it has the potential to cause long-term damage to our emotions, behavior, and relationships. The addict is preoccupied, emotionally unavailable, and engaged in what appears to be obsessive and compulsive behavior. If we are unable to moderate our smartphone use, it will have a negative impact on our own lives and the lives of our loved ones, and particularly the mental health of our kids, much like any other addiction. Perhaps unsurprisingly, the kids of those who are unable to curtail their obsessive smartphone checking have found to be more aggressive, more prone to crying, and more likely to stop reaching out when in distress. Millennials, those born between 1984 and 2005, experience technology in a way different from those generations who came before. An adult of 45 and under uses an average of 4 devices daily, and smartphone use has increased by 90% between 2013 and 2017, a quite staggering rise in use. They are growing up on Facebook and Instagram. In other words, they are good at filtering things. They are good at showing people that life is amazing, even when they are depressed. So everybody sounds tough. Everybody sounds like they have everything figured out. But the reality is that most people aren't tough, and they haven't figured out a thing. They always sound confident, but most of the time they have no clue about their problems. Being an emotionally healthy person requires that you develop meaningful relationships outside of your family circle. If you're like most millennials, social media is a tool for you to use to make new connections. Millennials report compulsively checking social media network profiles and updates. They can make riskier decisions and be open to online exploitations. They often mistakenly believe that if things go wrong, they can get help online through their online community, even if this community consists of relative strangers. It has also been linked to depression, loneliness, both of which may be caused or the effect of social media addiction. It is important to keep in mind that most millennials are able to use social media in healthy ways without suffering any negative consequences in their relationships. The key is to set healthy boundaries, to be honest as possible, and to limit their online time. The study conducted by FlashGap, a photo sharing app, found that 80% of millennials admitted to missing out on a conversation because they were distracted by their phone. Meanwhile, 54% said they experienced a fear of missing out if they are not checking social media networks. Nearly 3,000 participants were asked about how they felt about social media in social settings. The study found that 76% of people check social media platforms at least 10 times when they are out with friends. And they also said that people are too focused on looking at social media when they are out at events, and it may be causing them in social interaction. People miss out on parties because they want to see what's going on social network. They want to take beautiful selfies and add filters to their pictures. Concerns are growing that practical impacts of mobile devices is making humans more interested in their online lives and less interested in each other. In many cases, it is clear that social media have become not only a part of people's lives, but the things their lives revolve around. We see people checking smartphones every 2 minutes, looking for the latest tweet and update. It is important yet difficult to retain the attitude that these sites may be useful, but that's all they are, tools and not a lifestyle. What's happening is, because we are all allowing unfazed access to these dopamine producing devices and media, basically it becomes hardwired as we see people growing up. Too many kids don't know how to form relationships. Deep meaning for relationships are not there because they are never practiced, and the skill sets are worse. They don't have the coping mechanisms to deal with stress, so when significant stress starts to show up in their lives, they are not turning to the person but to a device for social media. They turn to things which offer temporary relief. The science is clear that people who spend more time on Facebook have high rates of depression than those who spend less time on Facebook. There is no recognized treatment for social media addiction, although we are starting to become aware of the problem. Keeping a balance is important. As they say, excess of everything is bad. There is nothing wrong with social media and cell phones, but it is the imbalance which has caused problems. If we are sitting at the dinner table with our family and friends and we are texting someone who is not there, that's a problem. That's an addiction. If we are sitting in a meeting with people we are supposed to be listening to and speaking, and we put our phones on the table, that sends a subconscious message to the other participants that they are not just that important. The fact that we cannot put it away because we are addicted. If we wake up in the morning and before doing anything else, we check our phones, we have an addiction. And like all other addictions, it will make things difficult in the long run. After all of this information, I'm sure that you can all agree with me that millennials are unhealthily addicted to social media, and we must spread the word and help them to fight this addiction.
Yes.
Thank you for listening.
You're welcome.